Chelsea versus Manchester United is the preview that you all want to hear about. However, the story is revolving around ex-Chelsea star, if I can call him that, Mason Mount, as the truth about his exit from his perspective, or at least ESPN's perspective, is coming out. And this is very interesting stuff. He never wanted to leave. It wasn't for the money. There were two other clubs that he basically was speaking to, and he doesn't want to disappoint Chelsea fans. I've got the full scoop. It's super interesting, and you guys are going to love it. Then Armando Broja has gone on loan to Fulham. He's getting left out of squads, and Wolves have come out, and basically their manager has confirmed that offer was there on the table. We'll talk about it. Was it a big mistake? Then we need to look at Chelsea versus Manchester United, the press conference from Mauricio Pochettino. He gives us an injury update with a lot of players coming back. Bad news on Christopher Nkunku, bad news on Ben Chilwell. He gives us his commentary on Cole Palmer and Alfie Gilchrist potentially getting new contracts. Well, one signed, one the deal could be on the table. And then he gives us the reasons of how he is upset. And you know what? I'm going to defend Mauricio Pochettino because a lot of people are jumping on him for things that he can't control. Guys, it's not his fault. His second language is English. And it's difficult when you speak multiple languages, right? Especially when your native tongue is not the one that you're expected to do complicated interviews in, when there's people forensically analyzing every little word. And guess what happened today? He said something out of context and people jumped on him. People have labeled him as rubbish. And you know what? I am fair. I want him gone, but I'm not going to jump on him on this. So let's get into it. Hit the like button. We're aiming for 1,000 likes on this video. Number 2, subscribe is the best way you guys can support. And number 3, our channel's growing worldwide. I want to know where you're watching from. In the comments below, give me the country followed by the city. Let's get into it. I want to start with Chelsea Football Club's ex-employee Mason Mount and Manchester United's current employee Mason Mount, because the reality is Mason Mount came through Cobham. Mason Mount was one of our own. Mason Mount still is one of our own if you look at it in reality, because Mason Mount did something for the club that we are always going to love and respect. He helped us win the Champions League. He played a pivotal role and nobody could ever take that away from him, and we should always be grateful for him being a member of that team and giving us that memory in Porto. However, this is where the story gets very interesting, because last year we got two sides of the spectrum, right? We got the Chelsea briefs and what I like to call the players' camps briefs. And now we're getting, I think, allegedly, stories from ESPN that are very interesting. And listen to what it says. So initially, the story says Mount was very upset with the characterization of him as an individual after he joined Manchester United. There was a lot of murmurs going around at that moment in time that Mason Mount left Chelsea Football Club and went to Manchester United for the money, all right? And this, for me, is very interesting that he wants to run away from that. Additionally, they were saying how Mason Mount wants to integrate himself into the culture of Manchester United, but doesn't want to be disrespectful to the Chelsea fans. Of course, sure you do, mate. This is where it gets interesting, and this is where the story took a nice turn. Chelsea owners apparently were inviting offers from December 2022. Apparently, as soon as the World Cup ended, the offer that was on the table for Mason Mount that we all knew about was taken off by Paul Winstanley, because he said there is no way you're going to be getting paid the figure that we offered you. Allegedly, that figure is somewhere around in the 200k mark. He said you're not worth that money. Took that money off, and all of a sudden, Chelsea were trying to sell him. 1 year left on his deal, players not agreeing a new contract at this moment in time, and Chelsea were browsing, saying how much we're going to fetch for him. Ever since January, apparently he was in contact with Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp was trying to get Mason Mount to the club, and it was one of those things where he was courting him, it was persuading him, and Mason Mount was in direct interactions with him. Then we find out within this article that Arteta said to his coaching staff, Mason Mount, done deal. Sources close to the player confirmed this, according to Rob Dawson from ESPN. And this is really interesting because they went and got Havertz to play in that number 8 role. It evidently was going to be Martin Odegaard, Mason Mount, and then another midfielder in Declan Rice. The boys were getting back together. The band was getting back together. And you know what? I believe this, because the reality is Havertz doesn't fit that 8 role. However, what I don't understand is Mount doesn't fit the characteristic that Arteta likes. Arteta likes imposing, likes powerhouse, likes enforcers in the midfield. He's got his creative magician. Was Mount going to be a Duracell bunny that ran up and down? Because if that's the case, we got Conor Gallagher that you can buy. Do you know what I mean? 70 million, 60 million, take him off our hands. Please do. But this is where it gets very, very interesting, because I think these stories are all very interesting, right? And we can all be very objective about this. Mount's gone now. But was it a mistake to let Mount go? No, not at all. Not in any planet was letting Mason Mount go to Manchester United a mistake from Chelsea Football Club. If anything, this was one of the best decisions the new ownership group have done. Paul Winstanley deserves a statue for this decision. Mount has been injured consistently. Mount is getting around about 200k with bonuses up to 250 allegedly. And more importantly, this is the biggest one of all. Chelsea got £60 million that could go up to 65. This is an unbelievable bit of business for Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea Football Club have nothing at this moment in time to regret in this deal. The person that has something to regret is Mason Mount for leaving this club where he was beloved. Mount wanted big wages, and to say that he didn't want it to be characterized as a financial decision is a lie. It's nonsense. Because look at the way the clubs are structured. Liverpool wanted you and Arsenal wanted you. Arsenal that were competing for a title where your best friend is, and Liverpool where Jurgen Klopp is known to be rebuilding sides and them to be competitive. Why else would you go to Manchester United at this moment in time? It's not true. I don't believe this whole story that he doesn't like the characterization. Of course he doesn't. Because the characterization is actually, for me, very, very accurate. Whilst I think there are elements of this story that most probably Mount never wanted to leave, but Mount wanted to get paid like he believed it deserved. And I always said it. Any player that believes they can get paid what they believe and one entity's not giving it to you, go get it somewhere else. Because the club will sell you if you're not good enough for them. So for me, I've got no problem with Mount leaving and his return's going to be interesting. But I don't want you lot painting him like we've lost some sort of legend and it's a returning star home and Bowley and Igbali are horrible people, because I don't think what they did was wrong. Best business decision for Chelsea Football Club. Another business decision that was actually going in the wrong direction at this moment in time is the one with Armando Broja. Alright, Armando Broja is on loan at the moment at Fulham, and there was a little generic clause included into his contract where if Broja doesn't play X amount of minutes, Broja will be entitled for Fulham to pay Chelsea Football Club £4 million. And at this moment in time, they're doing it. So they're going to pay the $4 million. Broja is no longer even in the squads for Fulham because Fulham aren't going to buy him at the end of the year. Marco Silva said it was a tactical decision, but today we got Gary O'Neill through Fabrizio Romano sharing a quote saying that he warned the board in January that at this moment in time they were going to have burnout, that the players were going to get burnt out and they couldn't afford to pay a few million to bring in a number 9 that could have helped. And for me, this is funny because we all know who they're talking about. They're talking about Broja. And how different would it have been if Broja went on loan to Wolves right now? Cunha's injured, Neto's injured, Hee-Chang's injured. There is no number 9. There is no number 9. There genuinely is no number 9. So what are you going to do? However, this is a very good way of doing revisionism, right? Because he could have easily went there. They wouldn't have got injured because everybody, their cat, their dog, their mum, their dad, their granddad was saying, go to Fulham. Mitrovic is gone. That number 9 spot is there. It's not Broja's fault Muniz decided to become the next coming of Harry Kane. It's not his fault he started scoring all these goals. And Broja's going to come back. And the worrying thing now is, how much is Broja actually worth? Yes, we got his wages off our book. Yes, we got £4 million for him. Yes, it looks better on the book. However, we had an asset that we wanted £50 million for. And now this asset can't be worth more than 20-25 million. I think we got a big problem on our hands. On to the press conference, and there are 3 things I want to talk about it, right? First, the team news. We've got some good news in terms that Trevor Chalobah back into the squad and trained with the first team today, ready to go for tomorrow. We know that Carney Chukwuemeka has trained with the squad and he is available for selection, as well as Malo Gusto. Malo Gusto is the one that is the most important player for Chelsea versus Manchester United tomorrow. We need Malo on that pitch, and we need Malo giving us that avenue down that right-hand side with the cutbacks. It is integral that we capitalize on these situations because there will be tons of them in transition. We know we can go through the middle, and we also know we can go through down that right and left hand side. They are very weak. It's just about us creating enough opportunities and trusting ourselves to take the chances, because we will create the chances. And then we also know that Robert Sanchez has trained today, but we don't know if he's going to be fit enough to make the squad. That is according to Mauricio Pochettino. Pochettino also gave us clarity regarding 2 players that aren't going to be fit. Number 1, Ben Chilwell. Apparently Ben Chilwell on Friday had some fluids removed from his knee. That sounds absolutely painful, and absolutely disgusting, but it's the human body. What can we say? So Ben Chilwell has been at home. He hasn't been feeling well, and it's a matter of just getting him reconditioned. Good thing is we've got another game coming up soon, so hopefully he can be recovered and be ready for that game. The bad thing is it means Cucurella is going to play another game, and the build-up of the minutes is worrying me, because what ends up happening is one player comes back, plays 3 games in the space of 10 days, and then they get injured when the return comes in, and the squad becomes literally just stays thin. The horrible news is that Nkunku's had another setback, and this is very annoying because Nkunku's setback now, they don't know when he's going to come back. Pochettino says he really hopes it's till we see him towards the end of the season, but at this moment in time he doesn't know, and there is a lot of uncertainty around this. However, they're trying to do their very best. They're trying to get him to recover, get him back on the grass, get him back to training with the rest of the squad. It is frustrating, but it is what it is. My advice to all of you now, just assume Nkunku's done like Lavia, like Reece James, like Fofana for the whole year, and just expect to see him in pre-season. That's my advice. Mauricio Pochettino, I'm going to cover this briefly, was extremely positive about Alfie Gilchrist. He said it's always nice to see a boy from the academy come through and get another deal. The plans for him, Mauricio didn't confirm this, but Fabrizio did, is that next year he's going to go on loan. He's going to go somewhere, become a regular starter, and then Chelsea are going to reassess his availability and what the future is for him. Guys, I hate to be this person, and I want to be honest. I think this is what's going to happen. He's going to go on loan. He's going to have a great season, or hopefully a good season. Chelsea are going to see how good this kid is or how limited this kid is, one of the two. And then Chelsea are going to decide. We either re-sign him to a new deal and he becomes a regular member of the squad, or we're going to flip him for pure profit. That's what's going to happen. This is good news for Chelsea. This is good news for Alfie. He's going to have a long, illustrious career. He's going to have regular minutes somewhere next year because he looks like a very good guy in the sense that he doesn't complain. He trains hard and he's got leadership capabilities, and you just can't replace that. I remember when he first came on, Donny was shouting at everyone in and around him. Like, he was giving the instructions out. I was like, wow, this is very impressive. I like this. You need leaders in the team, and he is a leader. Then, about Cole Palmer, he said he knows nothing about these contracts. He's not involved in that side. If the club believe that he can re-sign, Pochettino even made a joke. He's got a 6-7 year contract. Like, why is he getting a new contract? If the club feel like they want to compensate him a bit more, so be it. Let that happen. For me, it's very interesting because I think Chelsea are trying to get some good PR out there. Cole deserves a pay rise, and more importantly, I think they want to just keep his camp happy, show him how much they care about him, just so if there's any temptation in the summer, nobody comes bidding, so that they're not looking anywhere else. The final quotes are very interesting, and they're almost like a preview for the Manchester United game. So Maurizio was asked about the defeat for Burnley, right? And he said, what did you not like? And what he said is absolutely accurate, but obviously people are going to take it out of context, because what ends up happening is people don't watch press conference. People read the quotes that are either shown in my video, or B, people go and on Twitter and see the transcript. Sometimes you have to sit and listen and see the whole transcript in full to understand the context of what's happening. And in this case, what he said was actually very true. He said our players wanted the ball to feed, and when we had it, everything was good. We were creating chances, we were expressing ourselves. But what ended up happening is players started hiding from the ball, and he didn't like that. He wanted players to demand the ball more, and when we didn't have it, they weren't running, they weren't fighting, and it's unacceptable if you're at Chelsea to be doing that. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I agree with him, and this is why I was so angry. What I don't agree with is us being able to say, oh, you know what? We're not coached well, we're not drilled well, because I agree with that as well. We're not coached well, we're not drilled well, but the commitment has to be there at a bare minimum. These players aren't stupid, and he's saying we can't keep using the excuse that we're inexperienced. Because yes, while we're inexperienced, mistakes can happen occasionally, they can't happen regularly. And this is what I've been saying all year. And I think we need to be fair to Maurizio here. Maurizio should not be our manager next year. And he even said, against Manchester United, depends what kind of performance we put in. If we put in the performance we know we can put in, we will win. If we put in the performance we put in against Burnley, we could be in trouble, in big trouble. And he's spot on. Because the reality is what United are going to do is they're going to sit back, invite us on, and try hit us on the break. We need to score early, and we need to score 2 or maybe 3. Because I don't trust this defense. I don't trust this attack. I don't trust this team. I don't care what anybody says. This team has not earned our trust yet. And honestly, it will be a long, long time coming when they do earn our trust. Because at this moment in time, I am so worried. We are currently 12th. And being 12th brings one thing to it. We need wins and we need them quick. I don't care if it's Manchester United tomorrow. We need to win the game tomorrow. Once we win it, then all of a sudden, we could be ninth. And once we're ninth, we got a game in hand. And then we play Sheffield and we play Everton. And then we can reassess. I was saying, right, 10 to 12 points. I never assumed we would get a draw against Burnley, meaning we have to win the next 3 to get the 10. We get the next 6, we will get the next 9, we will be in a good position. Trust me, the moods will change going into Manchester City in the semi-final. Everyone will be a bit more positive and everything will be better. But make sure you tune in tomorrow for the match review. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know your thoughts. Peace out, I'm out. Have a lovely day.